right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in NorCal Sports Network. We're joined by Ned Colletti tonight and Los D, and we'll get into the baseball season. We'll be talking Giants baseball. Let us first thank our sponsor, Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group, located in Marin, licensed in all of California. Make sure you give Chapman Law Group a call for all your legal needs. They specialize in personal injury, but give them a call if you have any questions or needs. Chapman Law Group. If I got their number up here, maybe I can pull that up here. 415. Where did it go? Yeah, it's missing tonight. All right, we won't get the number. Oh, there it is. 415-613-9483. Let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. All right, guys, welcome on in. We've got baseball, 2 more sleeps, as they say. Only 2 more sleeps, and we've got opening day for most of everybody. The Dodgers and Cubs, of course, opened up last week, and we'll get a little bit into that. But, Ned, I want to start right off. The Giants just finished tonight their spring and went 21-6. Now, I know that doesn't mean anything. I just read something. They went 11-12 in 2021, and they won 107 games. So, and they've, I think the Royals won something like 20 games a couple years ago and lost 106 in this regular season. So, but I guess when a team is down, as they've been the last few years, 21-6 feels a lot better than 6-21.
You'd rather win than lose, no matter what time of year it is. So, I think they're going to be vastly improved. Are they going to beat the Dodgers? I'm not, that would be foolish to think that was going to happen for any other team. I think they're going to compete, though. I think they're going to have a better year than they've had since, the 107 year was kind of a fluke in a lot of ways, I thought. Tough to win that many games no matter who you are. But I think that they're really on the right track. I think they've done a great job.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about them. I've kind of did a little prediction show the other night, and I'm kind of in the low to mid 80s right now on them. And there's a possibility they could sneak past San Diego if San Diego underperforms, which happens in baseball all the time. Teams overperform and some underperform. I think it's if everything goes as according to plan, I think Arizona's a solid second place team in this division. But I do feel better about this team, and a lot of it just has to do with the change of what Buster's doing, bringing in a different attitude, bringing a lot of the old veterans that won with the championship teams coming into camp. Just his presence and what he expects. He doesn't speak with he's not a loud guy, but he carries a big stick. You know when he's around. And I wanted to ask you about this because you ran ball clubs for many, many years. And I said this to somebody just earlier tonight. The thing that makes the Giants to me stand out is a little bit different is they have leadership. They have leadership at the top with a former player who's going to be a Hall of Famer. And they've got Adames and Chapman and Verlander, 3 really, really solid vets that rubs off on a team, doesn't it?
No doubt. I think Adames is going to be an excellent addition for them. Justin Verlander, this is not his swan song. I mean, he wants to keep going. So this isn't just, one more trip around the game. I think as I said, I think they're going to be a lot better. And I think that as you say about Buster, he's not he's not going to be loud with what he does, but just in his company and in his presence, you know that was excellent as a player. You saw that, but you also got to know that his approach to what he does. He wouldn't have been as great as he was if he didn't approach the business of baseball, the game of baseball, like he did. I spent a handful of days in spring training this year with trying to get Team Italy going for the WBC a year from now, and saw the Giants a handful of times, and spent some time around their ownership, spent some time around their coaching staff, time around their alums, and it's different. They've got the feel back that they had back in the Sabian era, so to speak. And I think that's a plus. That's a huge plus. I was talking to Matty Williams one night, and we were talking about, like, when I was in Chicago, and you had Matty Williams and you had Will Clark, Robbie Thompson, and that group, and how hard those guys played. You always knew. I mean, the team might have been a 500 team, but you knew you were in for it because of how they went about their business. And I think you're going to see a lot that this year. How many games they win? Might be right, low 80s, mid 80s, but are they going to be in more than they were last year? I don't have any doubt. Are they going to compete to the utmost on a nightly basis? I don't have any doubt. I think that this will be a year, as you look back on the history of the franchise, this will be a turning point year for them.
Yeah, I got to believe, and we'll get to Los here after I just finish this comment. I was thinking about this with Buster Posey. 2010, he comes up early on in the season. The Giants trade Benji. No, was it Benji? Was it Benji Los Molina?
Benji Molina, yeah.
Yeah, traded him to Texas. The Giants win the World Series with a rookie catcher.
Yep.
2011, he gets that horrible injury at the plate, the collision, and he's out for the year, and he comes back in 2012, wins the MVP, the batting title, and comeback player of the year. Giants win another World Series. 2014, we know another World Series. And then 16, they make the playoffs. They probably should have started doing a rebuild right around then, 17, but they elected to go with the guys, and they started downturn. 17, 18, 19, nothing really good at all. 17, 18 were under 500, and then 19, I believe, was 2. Yeah. But then 2020, Buster opts out of the COVID year because he has a couple of twins they adopted and decided, with everything, to stay home. 21, he comes back for his final season. In the spring training, he tells the team the goal is to win the division. And they somehow win 107 games. And I heard Logan Webb talking yesterday on a podcast, and he brought that up, and he said in 22, he said he never heard that kind of talk in the clubhouse again for the last 3 seasons about winning a division. That's why I bring up leadership. They're talking right now. They have a mindset that they want to win the division. And I think that's the mindset you have to go in with, because if you shoot low, if that's your goal, just to be the third wild card, I mean, you go for the division, maybe you get a wild card. You shoot for the third wild card, you're probably going to finish, 3 spots down from everybody.
Yes.
Correct.
Without a doubt, you got to dream like that. You got to think like that.
Yeah. What's your thoughts? Oh, go ahead, Ned. I'm sorry.
No, I was turning to Los.
Okay, Los, what's your thoughts on this team this year? You've
Well, there is precedent with the Giants organization that when you make changes at the top, good things can happen. It happened with Roger Craig in '86 when he came and brought a different attitude to the team with a lot of the same roster. Happened again in '97 when Ned and Brian came over and changed the culture. So it starts at the top. That being said, as great as the top could be, the players are ultimately going to be the ones that are going to make, wins and losses. They're the ones that swing the bat. They're the ones that pitch the ball. They're the ones that field. The Giants' formula to win in this ballpark has always been, pitching, timely hitting, and good defense. I think they're going to have 2 of the 3, the pitching and the defense. They're solid plus defenders at, I believe, 7 of the 9 positions. So they're going to be solid on defense. I think their pitching is going to be pretty good. The concern I have is the timely hitting, because timely hitting means high batting averages and means contact. And this lineup is the lineup that strikes out a lot. So I think they're going to be in a lot of close games. And that's going to mean that the bullpen is going to make or break whether they win 82, 84, or maybe push it to 90, how the bullpen fares out. Because, the starters are going to do their usual 5, 6, 7 innings. Webb is the one that goes deep into games. So it's going to be, again, on the bullpen to win or lose a lot of these close games I think they're going to have this year.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point about the timely hitting, because they do have guys that do have a high K rate. And you look at teams like last year, the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Diamondbacks, all pretty low K rates through their lineup. Contact was key. And the Giants I think they have 5 or 6 guys with a 25% or more K rate. They're going to have to cut down in key situations with runners in scoring position, less than 2 outs. They're going to have to say, okay, I don't need to go for the 3-run homer at this point. Game situation. If they're up 2, 3 runs, 4 runs, maybe you do that. But if you're down a run and you're tied and you need to get that run across, you got to take a different approach at the plate and just put the bat on the ball. Because if you're going for the fences and you get down 0-2 because you didn't like your pitch, that you're waiting for your pitch to go for the fences, you're in a big time hole. And I looked at this. Chapman is going to bat 4th, and he does not drive in a lot of runs. Never has. It's not, and his highest runs is 2019. He drove in 91, and he's never done over 80 in any of his other 8 years. For a guy that bats pretty much in the middle order, I think I looked at his stats. He's actually better batting second. He has a better on-base percentage, better batting average. And Adames is batting second, and he's a guy that batted 5th last year and had a career year, drove in 112 runs. He's a guy that comes through when guys are on base. Much better, higher batting average with runners in scoring position. So I don't know. Maybe they'll flip that sometime, or we'll see. But that's the concern of mine. Is I think Chapman is an excellent ball player, but he's got to be in the right position in the lineup, because you're sticking him right in the middle. You're expecting, Ned, what's the big RBI position is it 4 still, or is it
4 and 5?
4 or 5, yeah.
Even 6 in some teams. Just because they do things in spring training or even start a season with certain players or certain lineups, it's changeable every day.
Yeah.
You're not locking the thing in for 162 days. So,
right.
They're going to do what's best. They got a great manager. They got a great staff. I'm sure they got strong analytics and strong reasons for doing what they're doing. And, they all want to win.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And so they're going to do the best thing they can do on a daily basis. And sometimes it might be hitting Chapman 4th. Might happen,
Yeah, they already are switching the lineup. Like when they're facing a lefty, Ramos is going to lead off. And when they're facing a righty, it's going to be Wade leading off, and Ramos will bat further down, like 5th or something. So, yeah, they've already said they're going to do things like that.
They don't have the superstar players. They have some really good players, but they don't have the superstar players that is going to be in that 3-hole every game or in the 4-hole. So I'm with Ned. I think the lineup is going to change consistently, and not just from a platoon point of view, but as guys get hot, they'll move up in the lineup, and as guys get cold, they're going to get to the bottom of the order. So it's going to be a constant shuffle. The hitting is going to be a big key for them.
Yeah, and not striking out. Nothing good happens with a strikeout.
Yeah. Hey, I was reading and hearing about Mookie Betts. Have you heard anything about how he's doing? I feel bad for the guy that can't hold any food down. He's lost like an incredible amount of weight.
Well, he's been through a lot, but they sense that he's going to be okay in the short term here.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, you hate to see any player go through an injury or illness. I mean,
Yes.
but it's one of the game's best players. It's the game needs him.
We're talking about lineups, guys, and the game used to be the leadoff hitter was a contact hitter, was a fast guy. He took a lot of pitches, to let the other guys see pitches. The number 2 hitter was a good contact hitter, could hit and run. Another high batting average. Your 3 hitter was typically your best hitter in the lineup, and then your 4 was your cleanup guy. But the dynamics of baseball has changed a lot. You got power hitters leading
You're
off.
right on.
So that's gone. So that's why I say and the Giants don't have superstars, so it's going to be a constant shuffle.
Yeah, and the 4 hitter hits 4th in the first time around.
Yeah,
by and large,
right.
So, but you're right too, Los. It's not. You used to say we're looking for a 2 hitter. What's a 2 hitter now? We don't know what a 2 hitter hit to the right side, got the runner over, could work a count if the guy could run, ahead of him. I mean, the whole thing is different now.
It's all different.
You used to have a pitcher hitting 9th, and you had an 8 hitter playing shortstop hitting 180. Now sometimes the guy hitting 6 is hitting 180.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, you look at last year, Soto and Ohtani both batting second, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, Ohtani batting second, it's really nice when he comes around the lineup and you're down 1 and you need that big hit. It's nice to have him up there instead of, oh shoot, we didn't get him up. He was in the 4 hole. We didn't get to him because he made our second guy made the 3rd out. So
I always thought growing up, like, if your best hitter is your leadoff hitter, then your chances are you're going to get him as many bats as possible. But then that's just not the way it was. Your best hitter was usually your 3rd hitter, so he can drive in runs. Those leadoff hitters don't typically drive in a lot of runs, but just the way the game's changed, the dynamics, it just blows me away. Like a guy like Kyle Schwarber could lead off. Just 192, 42 bombs. 42 bombs with like only 80 RBIs, which tells me he's not getting a lot of hits with men in scoring position. All his RBIs are coming from homers. So
I always think of the way to build a lineup was when the All-Star game, when Willie Mays was playing, and I think it was it Walter Alston maybe, he said, "What do I do?" Well, got all these guys, and Willie said, "I'll make the lineup." And he bats himself first, and I can't remember who he had second. He put Aaron third. He had McCovey like 5th. I think there was, it was just an incredible lineup. But, Willie Mays leading off. So, Ned, this year.
Before we get to the next topic.
Yeah.
Los, you make great points. I think that, you just don't want your leadoff hitter to be one of your best hitters because they're going to get more at bats. But I think with the changes that you've talked about, and Danny, it's really some of the key at bats are from 7, 8, and 9. Because if they can get on, and you have your top hitter at the top of the lineup, that's almost what the traditional 4 hitter used to be. So if a lot of teams will have their best hitter at the top of the order, the more bats, the more times they get up, the better your chances are. And so your 7, 8, and 9 guys, if they can get on, suddenly now you got your best hitter up with people on. And that hasn't always been the case. That's where your worst hitters hit.
I think if you talk to any starting pitcher in any era, they would probably tell you, I don't like facing a lineup that has 9 tough outs. And what I mean by tough outs is not necessarily guys that'll beat you deep, but just they'll work you 5, 6, 7 pitches. Yeah. They'll foul off a lot of pitches. And like you're up to 110 pitches by the 5th inning. I mean, like those days are gone where you just have a lineup 1 through 9 of a bunch of 270, 280 hitters. That to me was when the game was just, beautiful because you just had a lot of high average hitters that they could fight off pitches and make adjustments, choke up with 2 strikes, things like that. So, the right now there's 4 or 5 guys that legitimately can beat you in a lineup, and maybe the other 4 guys not so much. It's a little imbalanced.
No. Sorry to interrupt you, Danny.
No. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the Dodgers this year. Do you think? I mean, it's tough to repeat. We haven't had anybody repeat since the Yankees did it at the beginning of the century, right? 99, 2000, I think. Was that the last repeat we had? And, here we are, 2025 season. So 25 years later. What's your take on the Dodgers this year? Do you see them, waltzing to another division title? Is it a 100+ win team? What's the makeup? Where do you see them?
I don't think they're worried about how many games they win. I think they want to win a division, obviously, but they always play for the long haul. So they're going to load manage. They're not going to. They'll lose a couple extra games here and there if they got big leads in the division to save guys, to save their arms, to save, keep more left as you get to October. There's no doubt that that's what they're built for. They're built to win it all. It's rare that a team can get to the World Series and disappoint, but and I don't think that that's ever fair. I think getting to the World Series is really hard, no matter what your payroll is or no matter what goes on, because so many things are going to happen between now and October. But they're built to win, and they have a lot of depth. They've been through a lot the last few years with guys breaking down, and so they know where what could happen. And I think they've taken every precaution to support it. And I think it starts with ownership. Mark Walter and Todd Bowley and that group and Stan Kasten and Magic. They're not in this just to compete or just to sell tickets or to fill the house. They're all about championships. And people talk like that all the time. But people just talk it.
Right.
These guys walk it.
Yeah.
I think that they were surprised, when they kept adding to the bullpen. When they signed Yates at the end, it was like, who expected that? This guy had over 30 saves.
Yeah.
I mean, they're adding him to the group. For some teams, that would be their one or two best signing of the winter. That was, in some people's mind, an afterthought, but an afterthought of somebody that can really complement Tanner Scott and Trinan and on and on and on. You said it a couple minutes ago when you guys about the, pitching to a lineup that has 9 good hitters in it and how tough that is. Well, look at their pitching staff too. Where's the easy pitcher?
Great.
For years we get on the team bus on on a getaway day, and people will be asking, so what's the rotation coming up? If you're going from San Fran to LA, who the Dodgers pitching, or you're going some other place. What's the rotation? How's it lining up? And 9 times out of 10, you'd have somebody in that rotation that you thought, what, we got a chance to get to this guy. We got a chance to get 6 or 7 in this game. Look at your staff. When's that? What are you going to think that? You can't think that. They don't have anybody like that.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, once in a while, because that's the game. But you can't say that we hope the rotation lines up like this when we play them. It doesn't matter.
Right. Good point. What team or teams do you think are the biggest threat to the Dodgers winning the National League?
Well, I think Arizona in the West is going to be good. I think San Diego is still very good, but they have like half a lineup, in my opinion. And they're they got Darvish out now. They're Pavetta's pitched very well in the camp. They've got 2 studs ahead of him. But do they have enough? Do they have enough to compete? Are they hungry enough to do it? I don't know. Arizona can do it. Atlanta, perhaps. Don't know about the Central. Don't know if there's anybody in there that's going to really.
I don't see anybody in the Central.
Maybe Cincinnati to some extent, could probably outscore you a little bit here and there. They got some good young players coming. I think a team that's got a chance to disappoint in some, to some degree, are the Mets.
Yeah, the Mets and Phillies and Atlanta. I kind of like Atlanta for a bounce back year because
Yeah.
Austin Riley and Matt Olson both had down years.
Yeah. Strider should,
Yeah, and Strider's coming back. He's already looking good. And yeah, I'm expecting some big things. And then Acuna will come back at some point, whether he's, as good as he was 2 years ago, probably not. But he's still, once he's healthy, he's a great addition. I think the Braves are the team that actually stacks up the closest with the Dodgers. The key is the pitching. They don't have the pitching that the Dodgers have. And the Dodgers pitching is not just, like you mentioned, it's not just the starting five. It's really 6 or 7 guys that they have that they can put out. And that doesn't even include Kershaw if he comes back. Is he expected back after the All-Star break?
Yeah, sometime in that time frame.
Yeah.
I mean, and Ohtani. Ohtani
yeah,
at some point will come back. I mean, I assume that they're going to go to a 6-man rotation, or will somebody be dropped?
Yeah, at some point. I mean, they got Sasaki, who's young. Yamamoto, had a little bit of issues last season. But again, they have enough that skip a guy, go to a six man from time to time. Use your off days. All sorts of different things. They've got
Right.
They have many, many good choices. Most teams are trying to have good choices, and then they have flip a coin. There ain't any flip a coin in LA.
And
Yeah.
and like Ned said, because they have so much depth, while other teams are using all their resources and fighting and scrambling all the way until
Yes.
the August and the September months, the Dodgers understand the big picture, like load management. Like if they need to give a starting pitcher a couple weeks off, he's gonna come up with an injury and go on the IL and take some time off because they have guys that can replace them and in the 5 hole and the 4 hole. I mean, just that's what happens when you have a deep roster, which they do.
You could, I'm sure, Vegas has got every kind of, prop bet going,
Yeah.
Will a Dodger starting pitcher, would there be any starting pitcher with 175 innings this year?
No. I don't think so.
Based on their philosophy and what they're trying to do, I would say
Think
no.
about that. You used to, not that long ago, 200 innings. You had 3 or 4 guys give you 200. Now I bet you, I think the over-under might be about 160.
Do you think what the Dodgers are doing with their pitching staff, do you think that might change? Like we see in basketball, Steph Curry, the game evolved and now it's a 3-point game. Do you foresee teams trying to pick up 6, 7 guys in a rotation and just have them all have 150 innings roughly?
Yeah, but where are you going to find them?
True. I guess you got to develop them. If you can't develop them, you got to sign them.
They signed Yamamoto would have been the first pick in the draft. They signed him. Sasaki would have been the first pick in the draft. They signed him. They're already major league ready for the most part. Where are you getting these guys? And do you have the courage to take your payroll up into the high 3s? Who's doing that? But that shows their approach and their hunger for it.
I want to know what the Japanese pitching coaches are teaching as far as the split finger, because between Sasaki, Yamamoto, Senga have some of the even if you go back to Hideo Nomo,
even Darvish.
Remember Nomo back in the day? I mean, split finger was just filthy. Roger Craig would be loving these guys.
Yes.
I mean, it just drops off the table.
I know it's like
a
12.
It puts a lot of stress on your arm, though, too. It's not an easy pitch to throw over and over and over again. But if you're throwing 150 innings, yeah, maybe it is. It's another thought. I mean, that's how they think. A lot of people are thinking at the surface and maybe one layer down. They're thinking layers down. And they're probably thinking, that we got guys that throw splits. They're very successful. Some of their best pitches are splits. We know we can't expect them to throw 200 innings and then get to October and have the split and their arm working all in sequence. So, we're going to give them time.
What would you say, other than the split finger, Ned, is the toughest pitch on a pitcher's arm? Would it be a slider?
Probably a slider or a curveball,
Yeah.
The split is tough, though, when you think about, because you have to throw it with all the torque you have.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not an easy pitch, and the grip is different.
Ned, since we're talking about arms and stuff, what's baseball when you were in the game? It's even gotten worse since you left, but the amount of Tommy John.
Did I leave the game?
Well, I meant as the GM. Once you were no longer the GM, what was that? What was your last year? 13 or 14?
14.
14. So in the last 10 years, it seems like there's more Tommy John surgeries that are happening. And the game that we grew up and watched guys like Koufax and Drysdale and Marichal and Gibson and on and on and on, and Perry and Carlton, and they'd pitch every fourth day and never had an injury. What's going on? Is it the
They were
emphasis
pitchers back then.
on velocity?
A lot of it's velocity, and it's a lot of it is throw as hard as you can. Yeah. And that's why you have what you got, I mean, you're right. I mean, if you look at the transactions every day, I bet you 5 out of 7 days, you'll find somebody going on the DL with an elbow issue.
Yes.
I mean, not quite daily, but close to it.
Jordan Montgomery today.
And that's, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, years ago, guys threw far more than they throw today. And that has changed drastically for a lot of reasons. But people just threw, and they pitched, like you said, Los. I mean, they changed speeds, changed locations. Greg Maddux was not a hard thrower.
No.
In 25 years, he may have went on what they call, now they call it the IL, but the DL, maybe one time for a non-pitching injury. Mike Mussina, not known to throw 9,900 miles an hour. Check his years out.
Yeah.
Check out how many times Mike Mussina went on the DL. Hardly ever.
And they went deep in the games and saved the bullpens.
Yeah.
I have
300 innings.
Yeah. I have a handful of friends that have sons playing baseball. They're all good. But none of them are power hitters or throw hard. And all of them told me the stories that the college, coaches and scouts and all that told them, if you can't throw this hard or you can't hit for power, you're wasting your time. And yep. I thought that was sad, where the kind of game is like, you can be talented and win games for organizations other than hitting home runs and throwing hard. One in particular, guys, he's a 400 hitter throughout his whole high school career. And they're like, no, if you can't hit for power, then I don't know if you're going to have a place on this team. So,
well, look at the batting champion in the National League.
Wasn't there only 7 guys that hit 300 last year? 7? I think I saw that in the whole major leagues.
But look at the National League batting champion.
Yeah, Luis Arias.
3 teams in 3 years.
Right.
How could a batting champion be on 3 teams in 3 years?
That's a great point.
And I don't even think he's ever been a free agent.
No, he hasn't.
He's been traded all the time.
Yeah.
What does it tell you about that?
Shows you the value.
Wow.
He's the ideal number 2 hitter.
Another guy 10 minutes ago, Schwarber.
Yeah. Leading off.
Yeah. Ned, there's been several rule changes over the last few years. Do you like the pitch clock, that the fact that games now pretty much go about 2.5 to 240?
I love the pitch clock.
Okay.
If the pitch clock was there 3 years ago, to paraphrase your quote, I'd still be in the game.
Wow. Yeah, it does I mean, I'm amazed at how fast the games go now. And you know, and guys are getting even better. The first year you saw the 15-second, and then they had the 20-second, then they moved it to 18. But you saw some guys having violations, some guys taking it down to, 1 second. You're seeing guys throw every 10 seconds now.
It was necessary. I know pitchers had to adjust, and people, there's no doubt. And, some guys may have got banged up because of it. But the sport was, it's a behemoth. But it's still, I mean, you'd lost almost a generation of fans. Nobody wants to sit there for 3.5 hours. And again, it's not necessarily how many minutes are you playing, but the pace. Guys walking around, no action, throwing over a bunch of times, taking 35, 45 seconds, 50 seconds between pitches. Who's watching that in this day and age?
Yeah, this day.
Hardly anybody.
It's funny how times have changed, because I was watching a highlight the other day, and it was, I'm pretty sure it was Vince Coleman. I can't remember who was the pitcher, but he threw over 18 consecutive times. 18 times. I mean, imagine that today. And the first pitch he went to home, he stole second. It was amazing.
There used to be, in Montreal at the Olympic Stadium, they had a kind of a scoreboard that would put up a chicken, like the drawing of a chicken.
Oh, yeah.
Every time a pitcher would throw over to first base. And of course, they had the great Tim Raines.
Yes.
And every time Timmy Raines would get on against Cubs, Giants, whoever we had on the mound was throwing over. And this board, every time somebody threw over, another chicken was added to the board. and there were sometimes, to your point, the board was full of chickens. There might have been 15 chickens on the board.
Wow.
They must have put a chicken coop up when they did an intentional walk then, right? Because that's just for throwing over.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, this was a question I meant to ask you earlier when we were talking about the Dodgers. Kyle says, Ned, do you have any insight on how the renovations went with Dodger Stadium and what all they added?
Clubhouses, redid, I think. That's another thing. They've during the pandemic, they put $100 million into the outfield pavilion, shops, restaurants, bars, an area that was really underutilized. Now it's a happening spot. They've made the center field entryway like the entrance to the ballpark. I mean, phenomenal thought process. And, it just is done great. And then 5 years later, they're spending another $100 million on the dugouts and the clubhouses and all that. They invest across the board.
Right.
But I hear it's going to be phenomenal. See, it's another, and we talked about this a little bit in the winter, about a place being a destination.
Yep.
So you're a visiting player. You come into Dodger Stadium and you see the beauty of it, the weather of it, the whole deal. And then you see the facility and you see the interest in the ownership making it better and better and better. Not just the guys in the other dugout, the Dodgers you're playing against, but the entire situation. And it attracts people. It attracts your fans love it, but also players know it. They love it. It's the number one destination, I would say, in North American sports right now, is that franchise.
Wow. Now, is there a reason that Dodger Stadium has those baby blue seats? Is it because of the heat, to keep the heat off? Or did they just come out with that in the 58 when it was built in early 60s, and they just have left it? Because it's kind of it looks a little different to me. I would think they would go with Dodger blue seats or something.
Well, they did it probably for a bunch of reasons, including being able. I can remember we changed the seats in the seats behind home plate, and the players having a tough time seeing a ball off the bat in the daytime.
Mm,
So some of it is a little bit of that.
okay. Wow. Now, do the Dodgers, Kyle's asking, do they own their ballpark free and clear? Or do they?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think it's how many years old? 60,
1962.
62. Yeah. So it's,
That's been privately owned since then. It's
Wow.
like Oracle Field. That's privately owned.
yeah,
Many are publicly. I mean, Candlestick was city owned.
right. Wow.
But there's probably fewer city-owned stadiums today than there have ever been. Most of them are individually owned by the club.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the individually owned stadiums, there's a lot of talk already, which is kind of, what word do I want to use? It's a little unsettling. I see a lot of things on Twitter today. I was listening to Andrew Miller, former Indians, now Guardians pitcher, talking about how owners, baseball doesn't need a salary cap. It doesn't work, he's saying, and the players union is not going to go for it. A lot of talk about that. The collective bargaining agreement doesn't end until December 1 of 26, and yet we're already talking about this. And is this going to be a huge issue coming up when this collective bargaining, is this going to be to me, it'd be a disaster if baseball has a big time work stoppage because of the salary.
I don't think that's in anybody's interest on either side.
No,
But
really.
I think typically in any type of negotiation like that, the first negotiation is within your constituency, your other owners. You got the Dodgers spending what they're spending and deferring what they're deferring. I'm sure there's some teams probably in a jealous mode that don't like that and are going to, make that an issue. Dodgers have broken no rules.
Right.
They play by the rules, but then, somebody's probably going to say, well, then the rules need to change. So I think it'll be, there'll be issues. There'll be, people taking a stance and saying, we're not ever going to do this or ever going to do that. And some of it's accurate and some of it's just posturing.
Yeah, it seems to me like
so much money in the game right now.
Yeah.
I don't know who's.
Seems to me they need if they're going to do a cap, you got to have a floor, because as I look at this ownership, it seems like none of these owners are really hurting to spend the money. It's just they choose not to. I understand some markets are a little bit different, but if you're really up against it and don't want to put forth the money, I'm thinking of someone like Pittsburgh. The guy refuses it. I can't remember his name, but they say the people back there just get really frustrated because not willing to put any money. At some point, can baseball force an owner to sell?
Well, depending on who you talk to, they forced him, of course, to sell. They may have forced Hicks to sell Texas years ago, or he went bankrupt or something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know the ins and outs.
Well, Ned, you started with the Cubs, right? What year did you start in the Cubs organization?
1982.
82. Okay. And you were with the Cubs up until you came to San Francisco?
Yes.
Okay.
And the Giants in November of 94.
94. Okay. So that was, that was the year. Is that the year they didn't have the World Series, 94?
That was the year.
Yeah.
94.
Yeah. Wow.
Matt Williams run for the home run.
I think Williams, he was going to break Maris's record, I think.
What did he have at the All-Star break? Like
43.
Oh,
43.
18 away. Wow. That's rough.
Yeah.
In that ballpark.
Yeah.
I can't.
right.
Not an easy place for a right-handed hitter.
Wow.
He was in his zone.
That was one of the greatest years of all time for any right-handed hitter.
You know, I bring up him a lot on the show because I get a lot of Giants fans ripping certain players who are rookies or had a short stint. You know, they didn't get a full season. They got 100 plate appearances. They got 250 the year before. And they're saying, oh, he can't hit. Well, if you look at Matt Williams' baseball card, he was hitting 197 after 696 plate appearances. He could not hit the curveball. And he just, for the life of him, and he figured it out. Year 4, he had over 100 RBIs, 30-something home runs, hit like 270, 280. You know, nobody has any patience anymore.
There was a lot of great players that struggled early on. Mantle struggled early. So did Mays. Baseball's a hard game. You can have all the talent in the world, but, you know, those pitchers know what they're doing, too. And back then, they throw up and in a lot. So, you know, you're a young 20-year-old and you get a Gibson fastball at your head a couple of times. I don't think you not exactly dig in at the box. So, you know, it's an adjustment game.
Making nothing harder to do in sport.
Nothing.
Than hit a ball coming at you 95, 100 miles an hour.
Oh, gosh.
Might be nothing harder.
I went in the cage. I'm 63 now, but it's probably been 20 years. I just turned it up to 90 and I couldn't even get around. I just was like, this is crazy.
Did you try to at least get a bunt down?
Yeah, I did. I started bunting.
You turned it up to 90?
Yeah.
Did you get the bunt down or did
I got a bunt down.
Fair territory?
A couple. Some I missed, some I tipped off. It's not easy. And you know it's coming. And I'm not even worried about it being inside. Imagine you're facing a pitcher and you don't know where the ball's coming. With a pitching machine, you kind of.
How much of an exaggeration do you think we just heard? Him hitting off 90.
I didn't hit. I didn't. I said I couldn't hit. I didn't. I couldn't get the bat around.
You sure that wasn't kilometers, not miles an hour?
Yeah.
No, I just
it was like pitches were 90, 45 and 45. I don't know that I've ever been to a batting cage at 290 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, they have them. Yeah, they have them.
You know, I used to go all the time. I'm trying to think of where it was. It was south of San Mateo, down 101. Maybe Redwood City, somewhere around there. I think on the east side of 101.
Redwood City? That was Malibu Grand Prix?
Yes.
The batting cages where they had the racing cars. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. I think the fastest they threw there, Ned, was probably 80. Maybe
I used to
70.
I hit 110 there a couple times.
Ooh.
What?
I'm just playing along with Danny.
There you go.
Yeah, Malibu Grand Prix. You're right. Is it still there? It's still doing the same thing?
No, it's not there anymore. No, it's not there anymore. But no, I think the humbling aspect as you get older is not necessarily the hitting. I went to the cages about a year ago and did all right. It wasn't 90. It was, I think, 60. So whatever. I'll take it. I think the humbling aspect is when you go to a carnival and you think, oh, I'm a little bigger. I'm a little stronger. I got a good arm. Let me throw and see what my velocity. And they got the radar gun on you. And you throw it as hard as you can. And it pops up like 58. You're like, holy crap. I had a good arm in high school. What the hell? At 58. And then you think, okay, let me do another one. Let me stretch a little bit more. And then the second one's like 54. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm not hitting the 40s, man. I'll never be able to live at the end of it. This chick's gonna end this date real early if I hit the 40s. Yeah, that's humbling right there.
In our last few minutes before we get out of here, I want to bring up something that and get your guys' opinion on base. This is ESPN that put this out a while back, but top 100 baseball players of all time. I just want to do the top 10, and I want to get your thought on their top 10 and tell me if you think they're are better players, or they should be ranked even higher. How about Stan Musial at 10? I didn't get a chance to see him really. He retired when I was just being born. But
Seen a lot of documentaries about Musial, and I mean, just look at the lifetime batting average. That's that says it all. And power,
331.
and power, and power.
I want to ask you this
You
question.
know what else? You know what else?
Yeah.
36, 30 hits. I think he had
3,630.
18-15 at home and 18-15 on the road.
Wow.
Almost positive.
Yeah. What I want to ask you a question, Ned, on this.
We need
The
to
old
see the
time-
whole list, though, Danny, before we can say yay or nay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's true. We don't have time to go through the whole 100 though. So
No, let's go 10
no, just
down
top
to one.
10. Just top.
oh
10.
yeah. Okay, I'll go through them, then we'll go through them one time. Okay, Walter
the whole-
Johnson 9, Bonds 8. I think that's too high. I think he should be lower. I think he should be Mantle 7, Gehrig 6, Ted Williams 5, Ty Cobb 4, Aaron 3, Mays 2, and Ruth 1. So what I want to ask you about these guys that played in, not the modern day era, would they, I guess if they had the equipment, if they had the weights and the training and the nutrition that the guys have today, they probably could do it. But based on the way their physicality was back then, they probably wouldn't be able to hit a 95 to 100 mile an hour fastball, I would think, today. Is that
Well,
you
most
think?
of these guys would be 120 years old today, too. So give them a break.
But I
still
mean,
going to the batting cages at night.
but weren't they? I mean, I always look at that, but then I think I heard Rick Barry say this the other day. He said, if I would have been a lot better player in today's game had I had all the amenities and tools that these guys have today. We didn't have weights. We didn't lift weights. We didn't have trainers. We didn't have personal chefs and, all the things that these guys get today. I guess makes sense.
I don't know about you guys, but my thought is like staying in condition and eating right is obviously a big advantage now. I don't think lifting weights is necessarily going to help you as a baseball player.
No.
So I don't agree with that at all.
This was for basketball. He was talking about.
Oh, okay.
That was Rick Barry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, okay.
Danny, why don't you scroll up? Let's see who is not in the top 10.
11 was Pedro Martinez. I remember that.
That's a little high, ain't it?
I think so. Honus Wagner, 12. Griffey, 13. Maddox, 14. Wow. Mike Trout.
You know me, Danny. I'm a big Clemente guy.
Where's Roberto? We haven't seen him yet. Roger Clemens, Schmidt, Frank Robinson, Hornsby. Clemente's got to be top 25.
I don't know.
Henderson, Randy Johnson, Christy Mathewson. Well, that's his first 25. So, yeah, I mean, wow. I think Bonds, to me, top 3 for sure. I got a lot of
top 3. Who was 4?
4 was who was 4? Oops, I'm on the wrong one now.
Oh, tough to argue with Ruth and Willie
Mays
and Hank.
Yeah, those Hank was. I just thought Barry had the speed. He, I mean, I think Hank Aaron might have been one of the more underrated players because
yes, absolutely.
Hank was a great player. If he would have, wow, I can't. Oh, let me get back to 4. Who was 4? Was it 10? Lou Gehrig? Let's see.
But think about this. As much as I love Hank, if you swap Aaron and Mays and where they played in their home ballparks, what kind of stats would Mays have put up playing in Milwaukee and Atlanta.
And Mays missed 2 seasons due to the service.
Yeah.
Then he comes back after 2 seasons, and I think he won the MVP in 54, didn't he? Right up and hit over 50 homers. Imagine if he would have added, say, 40 a year, 80 homers to his total. He ended up with 660. He would have been at like 740. Yeah.
I think they should do that list of like top 10 hitters of all time and top 10 pitchers. It's kind of hard to like make
I like
some
that.
match 'em.
Yeah, I like that.
I like it
Yeah,
separate.
that's true. Well, let's wrap this up. We will 2 days away from opening day. Giants are in Cincinnati. Dodgers, who are in here, some Dodger fans, are at home to Detroit. That's why Detroit was playing in San Francisco the last 2 nights, getting acclimated and ready to, just a quick flight down to LA. They're probably already in LA because the game ended a few hours ago and they're probably just landing. So they'll get ready to lace them up on Thursday. It's nothing like opening day. It's to me,
Agreed.
Unique.
it's the best day in sports.
Yep, unique.
Yeah.
Only one day a year has that feel to it.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't know if you saw this. I should play it, but we don't have time. Derek Jeter's last at bat. It was on Twitter this morning. I saw it, and it was the Baltimore Orioles feed. So we got the Baltimore announcers and the respect for the players from Baltimore. They watched Jeter. He hit a base hit to knock in the winning run. His last at bat at Yankee Stadium. Place went nuts. And then you just saw the Orioles. They lost, but they're sitting there in the dugout, clapping. You don't get that in any sport. That's why baseball.
You get a little bit in hockey.
Yeah, I guess you do.
The stakes a little bit.
Yeah, you get a little bit like that in hockey, but you get what, 18 to 20,000 people instead of 50,000.
Oh yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
it's special.
it is special, and I love opening day, and it was always, it was just my favorite day of the year. So,
Nothing like it.
Yep. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. We will be back tomorrow night at our regular time, 7:45. Ned, we can get you maybe in a week or two after the season starts, and we'll see how things are going.
You got it. Well, it's good to see you, pal.
Good to see you, Ned. Take care.
All right, everybody.
See you,
guys, take care, Ned. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. All right. All right, guys, we're out of here. Let me get the band going, and we will see you guys tomorrow night. I just need to find the music. There we go. All right, guys, take care. Put some comments up here. All right. Los is off. You're off to San Francisco tomorrow for opening day event at where? Where are you going to be?
Longbridge Pizza in San Francisco, right by the ballpark.
What time?
12 noon.
Hey, guys, 12 noon. If you're in the city, head on over to Longbridge Pizza. Los will be there with Polly Mack. And
Ollie Mack, Tony Ryan, maybe possibly Tom Tolbert, Ron Brook. My good friend Lionel will be there. He's in the chat. So, yeah, it'll be a good time. Come on through.
That'll be great. All right. And you guys are going to watch the game right there?
Yep. Watch party. Yeah.
All
It'll
right,
be fun. There's spring eternal hope.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice?
Even the Pirates, even the Colorado Rockies, for at least a few days, enjoy baseball.
Yes. Wouldn't it be nice?
Dan, throw the Giants hat up in first place on top.
There we go. They're 2-0, the Dodgers, though. I can't. Darn it.
Oh, that's right.
I know.
I just wanted the visual.
I know. All right, guys. We will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.